Today's question comes from Noah in North Carolina. Here's what he asks. He says, I'm married with a 1-year-old son. I made a promise to myself when I was young that I would always be present for my child in his life since my father was absent from mine. I'm caught between honoring the promise I made myself and working my second job as much as possible to pay down my family's debt. I feel like I should work as much as possible now so I can be present later when my son knows whether I'm there or not. But I'm also caught up in knowing that I may miss important milestones in his life. We have $67,000 in debt, 2 cars, and my wife's student loan. How would you handle this? You know, it's interesting because I think this is one of those things where, and I see this a lot, regardless of if you're a man or woman or stage of life or type of debt, it's so easy to focus on where you're not. If you're working that second job, you're trying to pay off your debt, you're thinking about your son. Am I there? Is he okay? Is he walking? Did he do something new? And you're not able to be present. But I think one of the things that's so cool about this question from Noah is he has a goal. He has focus. He wants to get out of debt. He wants to get his family debt-free. And he's going to do that. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be present for your son's life, but will you see every time he giggles and laughs? No, you won't. But it's because you're able to work the second job to reach your goal. So I think if one of the things that I would encourage Noah to do is to be where your feet are. So be present wherever you are. When you're at work, bust it knowing that it's not going to be forever, that you have to work a second job. But also when you're home with your son, be present with your son. Be proud of the moments that you are with him and really give yourself grace for being in this season of trying to get out of debt without feeling like it has to be all one or all the other. Give yourself a little bit of permission in this season. Dave, what would you say? Because I know it's a financial question, but it's also kind of it has an emotional pull to it because of his history there with his dad.
Yeah. Sell your stupid cars. You have 2 car payments. You want to get out of debt faster? Get rid of your cars. Turn your television off when you're at home. And there's no reason to leave it on when you're not at home. So just turn your television off. So, I mean, people talk about how nurturing they are to their children, and they're sitting and watching freaking HBO while the kid's riding around on his knees, hands and knees on the carpet. I mean, you're not any more there than if you were there, if you weren't there. So turn television off, sell the 2 cars. That's first things I would think about there. Listen, if you'll live like no one else later, you can live like no one else. My children, all 3, are grown, married, great parents, great husbands and wives, very functional people, and I did not make every ball game. I didn't miss every ball game, but I didn't make every ball game. I didn't make every time they were a cheerleader. I didn't make every time whatever. That was not how we judged whether or not I was a good dad.
Yeah.
I wasn't emotionally absent. I wasn't spiritually absent, but also wasn't financially absent. We were building this business when those kids were little, and we were trying to recover from a bankruptcy when those kids were little. So I worked like a freaking maniac. But when I'm home, I'm home.
Right.
Dragging them around behind the boat on tube, or, we'd hit the lake in the afternoons or whatever. But even when, they were in the first book tour, when I went out, I was gone 6 weeks on the Financial Peace book tour, with the promise of Disney on the other end when I get home. If you guys don't drive your mother to an insane asylum while I'm gone. And so, because we have to get her out of a rubber room, we're not going to Disney.
Right.
And so there's a price to be paid, kiddos, for us to get to do things that we want to do as a family. Today, our family can do anything it wants to do. Anything we want to do. And we paid a price to get to that point. If you were to interview my children, they would not tell you that they were emotionally abandoned by their father or that they were not nurtured by their father. But they will tell you that Dad worked.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And when he was at work, like you said, be where your feet are. And so I really don't have a bunch of guilt or shame about that. But I coached Daniel's hockey team, so obviously I had to be there a lot to do that. So I was very plugged into that. But this idea that you have to be there every time they poop their diaper, that's just ridiculous. And that's just complete overkill.
There's something, too, in our world, and you hit on this with the whole television thing, but whether it's your phone, social media, whatever, focus on quality over quantity. So let's say you're in a season of working 2 jobs to get out of debt, then what you can do is when the hours that you spend with your child, really be there. Put your phone down, turn the TV off, really be present. So maybe it's not as many hours as you would like long term. That's okay. Focus on quality over quantity. Really be present. And I use this example. I'd rather have 2 hours with my family on a Saturday where we're all engaged playing together than 8 hours where everyone's staring at a screen.
Yeah. But the point is, if I go 6 weeks on the road, we pay cash for a house when I get back and we go to Disney. And now we don't have a house payment. Now, what's that mean? Well, that means I get to start to make some different choices if I want to.
Right.
And you know when I work now? Whenever, by God, I want to work.
That's right.
And if I want to get up and, not be at the office until noon and take all the grandbabies donuts in the morning, which might have happened a time or two, I can go do that. So, what the freedom that you're working for gives you is freedom.
That's a good point.
And it gives you options. And so you're living like no one else, so later you can live and give like no one else. This is not a death sentence, and it's not a lifetime.
Yeah.
He's a baby.
Yeah.
And he's not, you're not missing his entire childhood. I mean, what do military families do if the dad, in this case, is deployed for 6 months and is overseas?
Yeah.
Does the child become dysfunctional because of that?
Right.
No, they
And
don't.
So much of it too, and I will speak from my experience as a mom, but so much of it is we get in our own head about it.
Yeah.
I remember Dave. I remember when Carter's my oldest child, when he turned 2 years old, was on the day of the very first Business Boutique one-day event, kicking off Business Boutique book pre-sale. So you and I are in California. I'm backstage, about to go on stage, and I'm FaceTiming with Carter. And of course, it's like everything in my heart is pulling towards, oh my gosh, today's birthday, and I'm not there. But I'm like, the reality is, okay, if you get out of your head, the reality is he will not remember. I had already spent the day before I left with him doing all kinds of fun things. We had a party for him that weekend. He was fine. He was hanging out with his dad, getting ice cream and whatever.
He doesn't know.
No,
He's 2.
He's not going to remember that. So much it's in our head.
He doesn't know it's his birthday.
No,
he's
he
2.
He doesn't know anything. It's in our head and how we feel
Exactly.
about that situation.
So this year we decided your birthday's Thursday.
Right.
It's like,
I may just
because
tell you
it's
that's
good,
your day.
It's good for us for your birthday to be Thursday this year. So this year it's Thursday.
Yes, you got celebrated. You turned 2. You're fine.
Yeah.
So I think if we can get out of our own head, then we'll realize, hey, it gives us a little bit of freedom. Like, let me go chase this dream, pay off this debt, build this wealth, whatever the thing is, so that, just like you said, so that I have that freedom to make even different choices if I want to.
So work your butt off and get out of debt so you can do that. It's worth it. And Noah, here's the good news. A man that asks this question is not a man who's going to emotionally abandon his children. It's not going to, your father was absent from you. You're not going to be absent because you asked the question.
Right.
And you put the pledge down before yourself that you're going to keep your word. You're going to be present. So you're going to be present. And I'm just saying, dude, it's a bigger deal. Like you said, it's a bigger deal to you than it is a kid.
Yeah.
And unless you make a big deal out of it,
right.
And wail and carry on and whine and all this stuff. And yeah, it does. And so we just sat down, had very direct, calm conversations with the kiddos. This is what we're doing, and they didn't really get a vote. And I don't like that. I don't really care. You're 3, whether you like it or not. I'm not taking a vote. This is not a democracy. It's a benevolent dictatorship. So, I love you, and I'm going to take care of you. You don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's good. Life is good. And so, yeah, that's a thing. And the other thing is it's temporary.
Yep.
It doesn't last
Short
forever.
term. That's right.
It doesn't last forever. Doesn't last forever. Doesn't last forever. It's just for a little while.